In the highly competitive nature of Serie A, there was a player who was small in size, giant in his style of play. Gennaro Gattuso, or as you might know him, Rino or Ringio, was not an ordinary footballer. Far from a great height and not even the most talented player on the pitch, what he lacked in stature and finesse, he more than made up for in his sheer brutality and charisma. His appearance was enough to send shivers down the spine of even the most experienced athletes. That is why Gattuso is considered one of the most authoritative and menacing legends of Italian football. Before we dive into it, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more stories. The story of how Gattuso emerged as an essential cog in AC Milan began in the small town of Corigliano Calabro in the toe of Italy. He was born on January 9, 1978, and from his early days was a football fanatic who got his tough style of playing due to playing football on the beach. He began his football journey at the youth of Perugia in 1990 and came into the senior team of Perugia in Italian Serie A at the age of 17. But it was his short spell at Rangers FC in Scotland that made Gattuso what the world would come to know. In Scotland, Gattuso was trained on sheer power by then Rangers manager Walter Smith. His time at Rangers was not very long because of the changes in the managerial staff. But it was at the Rangers that Gattuso started to come to terms with how to harness his aggression in the middle of the pitch. This was formative in his career, and it should set the tone for the fearsome midfielder who was to terrorize the Italian league soon after. Gattuso returned to Italy in 1998 when he signed for Salernitana. He had a rough temperament that attracted the attention of other clubs. That was not long in coming, and in 1999 Gattuso joined the senior club that he would spend the best years of his career with, AC Milan. When Gattuso joined Milan, he was rated as an uncut jewel, a talented but raw player who needed to be polished. It was when Gattuso moved to Chelsea under Carlo Ancelotti that he discovered the best position for him was as a defensive midfielder, a position which best suited his strengths, tackling, energy, and a knack for getting up the opponent's team's collective nose. Being in the same team with technically gifted players such as Andrea Pirlo and Clarence Seedorf, Gattuso was a key player for Milan. His combination with Pirlo was special. While Pirlo controlled the match with his vision and passing ability, Gattuso was the destroyer, a collector, a shield that gave liberty to his creative players. This duo was absolutely crucial for AC Milan's golden age. Gattuso was a physical player in the sense that he tackled hard and was very aggressive, and that made people cheer and fear him at the same time. Adversaries understood that to face Gattuso was to face an opponent who was ready for a fight, and one they may not be ready for. Apart from the football field, Gattuso was quite humble, hard-working, and loyal. However, as soon as he was over the white line of the field, he became a fighter, an athlete who would do anything to score. This mentality was perhaps best summed up in his career's defining encounters with Inter Milan, the Derby della Madonnina, where Gattuso had to face tall, physical opponents such as Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but they had no answer to his aggression. Gattuso can seem almost menacing at times, but he adores his family. He got married to his long-time lover, Monica Romano, a Scottish lady, in 2004, and they are blessed with 2 children, Gabriella and Francesco. While still playing for AC Milan, Gattuso was involved in a scuffle with Tottenham Hotspur coach Joe Jordan during a Champions League match in 2011. Gattuso confronted Jordan during the halftime break, and after a brief argument, he held him by the throat and headbutted him. Life has not been easy for Gattuso. In December 2011, Gattuso got injured in a match against Lazio when he clashed with his teammate Alessandro Nesta. This led to the deterioration of his eyesight due to 6th cranial nerve palsy. This condition led to double vision, something which must have been a nightmare for Gattuso. Gattuso has spoken candidly about this period, revealing how he felt on the pitch. "The 20 minutes I played against Lazio were a nightmare. I felt drunk. I could see Zlatan in 4 different positions. Doctors told me there was a chance I might never play again. but now they are saying that is not the case, and I will fight hard to return, he recalled. And fight hard he did. Gattuso retired from football in 2013, and he immediately began a new phase of his career as a football coach. It was not without its problems when he moved from the playing field to the bench. Gattuso had his first taste of coaching at a Swiss club called Sion, but his stay was brief. In the years that followed, he was able to manage other teams such as Palermo, OFI Crete, and Pisa with moderate success. All of these positions were filled with their problems, except OFI Crete, where the club was in deep financial trouble, and that made his work near impossible. Nevertheless, Gattuso could not overcome these challenges, and his love for the game and his players was apparent. I know not everyone likes me, but I know what I can give my teams, he said. The first big success as a coach was achieved when Gattuso came back to AC Milan in 2017, not as a player, but as the head coach. His comeback to the club was one of the most important events. Nevertheless, the difficulties that he encountered were formidable. Milan was a club in transition, a club in decline, always trying to get back to the top. His aim was to make his players as aggressive as he was on the pitch, with little success. Gattuso then moved on to manage Napoli, leading them to win the 2020 Coppa Italia, the first major title for Gattuso as a manager. However, his time at Napoli was also marked by personal tragedy. In early 2020, Gattuso's younger sister Francesca died at the age of 37 after a long illness. This loss was very hard for Gattuso to bear, going by the fact that he had a close relationship with his sister. Rino had passed his passion for Milanello on to Francesca, and she always embraced and cherished the Rossoneri values, said the AC Milan team. The working ethic of Gennaro Gattuso, especially as captured in his interview with VCF Media, is the backbone of his working philosophy as a player and a coach. Gattuso is always keen on the history of the clubs which he's associated with. During the interview, he stressed the fact that history is unchangeable and serves as the base on which the present and future successes are created. For Gattuso, the history of such a club as Valencia CF is something that has to be respected and echoed in the team's actions and games. Gattuso recognizes this as a challenge to play good football and make the fans happy, which is the direct manifestation of his view that history should determine the current and the future of a football club. Another idea that Gattuso promotes is the need to establish the feeling of being part of a family within the team. Gattuso does not only pay much attention to the players, but also to every person in the team context, including the staff. His initial interactions with the team usually include an open discussion with all the stakeholders to inform them of his attitude and make sure they're all on the same page regarding the objectives of the team. The primary principle that Gattuso follows in his life is that desire, sacrifice, and values are the keys to success, not only in the football field, but in life too. He's also convinced that one cannot do anything if there is no desire at all to do it. This desire has to be accompanied by a readiness to pay the price and embrace certain values that define behavior. Responsibility and accountability are also a part of Gattuso's philosophy. He knows how it feels to be pressured, not least in a club with such a tradition as Valencia CF. This role is not something that Gattuso takes lightly as a coach, because the decisions that he makes affect the future of the club. The last of Gattuso's work principles is communication. He considers that it is crucial to achieve understanding between employees and the team, its goals and values. To that end, Gattuso has always been frank with his players and his staff, leaving no doubt in anyone's mind as to what is required of them. As Gattuso says, "I don't like to play backward, I always like to play forwards. My job is to give continuity to the mentality of the team." Before I talked about fear, but that's not the right word. We have to carry on and believe in everything we do. And so, with all of this being said, as we look ahead, one thing is certain. Gattuso is not just preparing for a season of Valencia CF, he is preparing the new history of the club as a football warrior. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, share and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.